Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Andre Seegers and Ash Paulson to discuss the new information that's come out about Splatoon 2. So let's get started. Alright guys, so it's been a little bit since the Nintendo Switch presentation where they showed off Splatoon 2, and you guys had the opportunity to play Splatoon 2 yourselves. And there's been a lot of new information that's come out, especially in the form of interviews with the producer Nogami. And I thought it'd be just fun to talk about all that stuff, the Testfire, and just how we're feeling about Splatoon 2 in general so far. Because they're really it really feels like they're ramping up hype for this game already.
Yeah, it does. There's been a lot of information about Splatoon 2 coming out. And what's weird is I've actually seen some debates online of people arguing if it's even a sequel or not. Some people are like, just because it's called Splatoon 2 doesn't mean it's a sequel. Which, technically, can be true from a certain point of view, but I've seen no reason to doubt that title being sincere in this case.
I'm going to make a crazy suggestion here. This is just completely off the wall, but maybe I'm thinking we should play it before we decide whether it's a full-blown sequel or not. That's just, I know it's crazy, but
That's
maybe
madness.
we should actually play it and wait until it's out.
Ash, shut up. You know you're wrong.
Right? Makes no sense, of course.
Yeah, I don't get that. But from everything I'm hearing, like, I'm actually really quite liking what I'm hearing. It seems like they're taking the foundation set by the first game, expanding upon it, adding new stuff, mixing things up, such as how we now know, like, even with the existing weapons, they're changing it up with how they're pairing it with the special weapons, as well as changing the secondaries, if I recall correctly. They're changing the main location, the hub of everything. Like, it really seems to be a full-on sequel, which is especially impressive given the turnaround on this. Even more so, I mean, it was less than 2 years ago that the original game came out. Even more so when you add to the fact they were adding content to this game just, 9 months ago? I forget the exact
Something like that.
Right.
But,
Yeah, they kept support on it for a while, so to do all this in the background while doing all these tweaks is definitely impressive. And I mean, Nogami has stated that there will be more weapons than the original. They're just more of everything, and they're still keeping to the same idea as the original, where they're going to keep putting out new content, which will sort of change up the game constantly because just new strategies coming into play, and that is such a good idea. Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
I think that was part of the reason for the original success, is because they just constantly had new content coming out, which kept people playing. It certainly kept me playing longer than I would normally a multiplayer online game.
Yeah, well, it didn't work for Ash, though.
Well, that's also because it had to compete directly with Smash. I mean, I'm actually really excited about Splatoon 2, and I think a big part of the reason for that is because I really enjoyed playing with the Switch Pro Controller. And I found that the gyroscope in the Pro Controller really, it works every bit as well as using motion controls in the gamepad did, except now you're using a far smaller and more traditional and more comfortable controller. So
That's true.
I actually found that I was having more fun and really excited about playing Splatoon 2 like this than I ever was about playing Splatoon 1 with the gamepad. So, yeah, I think it's kind of hard, because I think the reason people are hesitant to believe Nogami at his word about it being a full-blown sequel is because the only parts of the game that people have gotten to see so far and that we've gotten to play so far really just make it seem like more Splatoon 1. I mean, we got to see a new stage, yeah, but the stuff they're talking about, like the new weapons and the new hub city and the other new content, they're not showing that to us yet. We just got to play a random, like a regular multiplayer game, and in that sense, it looks pretty similar to the first game. So I think that's why people are maybe a little hesitant to believe that this is a full sequel, but I think it will be. I think it'll become apparent in due time that this really is going to be a sequel worthy of the name.
I don't know, did people make the same argument, though, about every new Call of Duty or Halo 2 or 3, for instance, where they...
Well, no, but, yeah. But Nintendo didn't make those games, obviously.
That's true,
Nintendo
yeah.
is held to a different standard where everything they do is scrutinized, so come on, I mean...
Well, didn't you hear the Switch is already a complete failure?
Duh. I mean, no, it's a failure out of the gate. It doesn't have a chance. Nintendo's doomed. Didn't you hear? They're already out of business as we record this. They've already gone out of business. Yeah.
I think that should be an update, Derek. Get on it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's nuts. And the thing is, I really am hyped for this game. I haven't touched it at all. But just looking at everything, seeing the care they're putting into it, the new levels, the fact that they're bringing in single-player elements from the original game and putting it in the multiplayer again, this is all really cool stuff. And just, I like the idea from Nogami in his interview and about how Splatoon 2 represents a fresh new start. It's a way
I see what he did there.
Yeah. Well, it's because that's his exact words. So, and just going off of that, how there's different combinations for the weapons. There's brand new special weapons and more of them. And of course, we got new basic weapons or new ways to use the older weapons. It's just good to see. And I like the idea of everybody being put on an even playing field once again and just seeing how it all comes out or comes to play in Splatoon 2.
So I am going to throw one thing out there. I also am really hyped for this game. I love the first Splatoon. I thought it was great, and I'm really excited to play more Splatoon. Especially with the improvements they seem to be making. However, there's one thing I'm a little bit hesitant about, and it's really not that big of a thing. But they say more weapons, and I'm like, the last thing Splatoon needs is more weapons. It has enough weapons. I'm fine with changing weapons. I would actually be fine with them reducing the amount of weapons and just making focusing on making each one feel more different than they already do. Again, not a big deal. But, like, when they say more weapons, to me, that's not necessarily a selling point.
I see what you mean. I think it would be a little more interesting if they had announced a few more weapon types alongside the Splat dualies, and that might still be coming. But I think maybe instead of just more weapons, it sounds a little more interesting to say, yeah, more weapons and more weapon types, because we now are already very well acquainted with the weapon types from Splatoon 1, and just hearing that we're going to get more combinations of those isn't necessarily as interesting as hearing that we're going to get some actual new weapon types as well.
I can kind of see that, but I also don't think it's... obviously, you already said it's not a huge deal, and I'm even less concerned than that, because it's funny how the different combinations really can change up how it feels, and it wasn't until the very tail end of Splatoon's release cycle that I started feeling just, okay, it's the same stuff. And that's because they weren't really changing how they played, it felt like. Or just, they weren't providing variations on the existing weapons anymore. It's just, here's this weapon with a new sub, and a new special. That's when it got boring. But when they had, like, tweaks to how a weapon worked, whether it had less range but was more powerful, or longer range and less powerful, or various things like that, that kept my interest the entire time. And to see the Splat dualies integrated in there, it looks like a fun new weapon type. Plus we have the blasters, we have the sloshers, we have the heavy gatlings. There's a ton of weapons in here, and I think just by mixing it up again, I think there's going to be plenty of variety. And I know you were worried about that variety, but I think it is for the better. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not concerned, just to be clear, I'm not concerned about lack of variety. I'm just concerned about it being almost daunting. Like, you see that list of, I don't even know how many weapons were in Splatoon 1 at the end. It was a ridiculous amount. It's like, man, I don't even know where to start with this. And in my case, I actually just stuck with my basic one anyway. I'm like, whatever, I don't care about the new weapons. I'll just stick with
Me too.
what I'm good with. Yeah. See, I mean, that kind of speaks to the problem, I think. If there were less, and again, I say problem very loosely. I feel like if there were less weapons, I'd be more inclined to try them all out. Just because there's so many, I'm like, you know what? I've already spent this time investing into the strengths of this one weapon. I'll just keep with it. With that said, I think the Splat dualies look. Well, I mean, I played with them. They're fun. Like, it's awesome.
They are fun.
I love that weapon. I also like the confirmation now that we know you can use it to go over walls and invade enemy territory, even though you will be restored. You will go back to the point you started from when you after the special's over, you go back to where you started flying from. That's cool. Like, I like that idea. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all looking good. I really don't have any complaints, and that's, obviously it's hard to have complaints when you haven't played it yet, but I like the steps they're taking for this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Nogami has also confirmed that, we mentioned how you got different hairstyles, and you can have different pants and stuff like that. I guess bottoms is what they're called. But they've been confirmed not to affect performance. So you're not going to have all of a sudden new slots to have different buffs for your character anymore. It's still going to be the same 3 where it's hat, shirts, and shoes. And I think that's probably a good idea, because otherwise balancing 5 slots would be kind of insane.
And I also, I mean, and this isn't actually a complaint because it makes perfect sense to do it like this, but in Splatoon 1, I ended up with a combination of equipment that looked so stupid on my Inkling, but it conferred the best bonuses. So, I mean, I wish there was a way to, like, customize the way your Inkling looks outside of the abilities that each piece of equipment confers to your character, because it's like, I don't want to look stupid only to have these awesome like I ended up wearing a football helmet for my Inkling in Splatoon 1, which doesn't look all that cool in my opinion, but it had all these cool bonuses, and I'm like, okay, well, so I think I was outside maybe hoping for like a way to mix and match abilities and equipment, and have a little more freedom in doing that in Splatoon 2, but at the same time, I completely get why they're going with the same abilities are tied to the equipment you put on route. Like, it makes perfect sense for this kind of game.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit weird now that some of your clothing affects your stats and others don't. It just introduced like a weird divide that wasn't there before, really. Again, it doesn't really matter, but it would be nice if you could maybe customize your character outside of, the clothing, because, yeah. Although, I guess there is something to be said for the fact that maybe in order to be a really good character, you have to look stupid. So if you want to look cool, it comes at the expense of being a good character. So
that's true. That's true.
And what's safer than wearing a football helmet? So of course it's going to look dumb. But
yeah,
the thing that because I actually had the same complaint. I was like wishing they could sort of customize it so your character doesn't look dumb while you're wearing all this equipment. But Emil Chugger Conroy brought this up in my other Splatoon discussion, where he mentioned that pro players, a lot of more advanced players, can identify exactly. Yeah. They can look at it and know exactly what abilities you could possibly have and adjust their playstyle accordingly. And
that makes sense.
That's why, and that's probably why they won't have that feature, and it makes a lot of sense. Still kind of sucks for casuals like us who just want to look cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although that really does, that kind of falls right in line with how much they seem to be focusing on esports this time around, or at least more than they were with Splatoon 1. Because now they're including that LAN mode now, where you can actually connect your Switches up via LAN, which is, for Nintendo, this is kind of a big deal. Like, this isn't something they've even bothered to investigate since, like, Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube. Like, I'm surprised they're really going all in on this kind of esports and technological angle.
Yeah, I mean, it should be clarified that LAN mode is offline. Like, you don't need to be online at all, like you had to be for the first Splatoon. And on top of that, or as part of that, you can connect an additional 2 systems in order to have a spectator mode. So you can have 2 independent spectators, which is really cool, because I'm already picturing that being used for broadcasts, where you switch between 2 different camera angles on top of, every individual player's view as well, potentially.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, all these things, while cool for for the normal player, to have these options for esports is a boon, because, as you said, just covering everything, focusing on each individual player, getting those shots really, you'd actually have to have some pretty good cameramen to make sure you're getting the best shots at all times, which is kind of funny to think about. And yeah, it really does seem like Nintendo is pushing the esports aspect of this, if only because of the LANs, because we knew we could play together, through Wi-Fi with the just the individual consoles, but LANing allows you to use TVs as well, which is...
That's kind of important, yeah.
Yeah, pretty big.
Especially, I mean, a game like Splatoon, don't get me wrong, it's going to be fun playing it in no matter what form. But, you're shooting some pretty far off targets at times, or you want to keep an eye on pretty far off targets. So, I don't know, playing on a 6-inch, 5-inch screen is, ideal.
Yeah, I mean, as cool as it was in that Switch commercial to see those, like, I guess the college kids playing in their lecture room or whatever, it's cool, but I was sitting there thinking, I wouldn't want to play Splatoon on a small screen like that if I could help it. Just because it's if you take it even a little bit seriously and you want to win, it's so hard to see on that small screen. It just seems like the kind of game where you have to be too good to try and win to be looking at a small screen when you're really competing.
Well, you got to think back to the old days of 4-player split screen. That's about the size of your individual screen in those cases.
That's very true, yeah.
I don't know, to be fair, I think the Switch screen is actually quite a bit bigger than some of the TVs I was playing split screen on.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because back then you only had CRTs.
That's it, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, no, I think, targeting the esports crowd is a really good idea. I mean, that's just, that is something, that's a market that's only increasingly getting bigger. It's getting more attention, and that's a good way of just appealing to, people who both like playing esports, but also just like watching it. Like, that's, obviously more people watch esports and play esports, and it makes sense to target that demographic. That is a hardcore demographic, and if you can get them involved in the Switch, that's another good way of expanding.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention the fact that Splatoon has, even more than here, has utterly taken off in Japan like wildfire, and it's become more of a competitive thing over there. So for them to be satisfying their own audience in Japan, as well as giving the rest of us a chance to play the game early, like for example via the Global Testfire, and also just bring it feels like they're really focusing on bringing more players together more than ever with Splatoon 2 in a way that Nintendo has traditionally never done. So maybe this is an element of that new Nintendo we've been hearing so much about, where they're really focusing more on things they used to not focus on.
How nuts is it that they announced a Global Testfire before anyone even has a Switch?
That is how you get, if you want to sell millions of Switches to a potential audience who's really into Splatoon, that is how you do it. I was so happy to see Nintendo make such an incredibly smart decision by announcing that this early.
Incredibly?
Oh, God.
It was such a good idea. People who are going to be able to pick up a Switch by that point, it's going to be massive, people just playing that game, because people have a lot of good memories of the original Testfire. That's when everybody got this taste of Splatoon and really had a sense of what it was all about. And Splatoon 2, that's going to offer up the same experience, and people can really play around with what they have. And you guys have basically experienced the Testfire already. It's essentially going to be the same demo you played at the New York event. But it's still, to have that available for everybody, to have 6 different sessions over the course of 3 days, it's going to be a prime opportunity for people to get really into Splatoon 2 and get Nintendo to hook those people as soon as possible.
Yeah.
You know what would be really cool? I mean, this won't happen, but if they had made a version that was compatible with the Wii U as like a preview of what you could play on the Switch.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Load the same map into Splatoon 1. You maybe don't have all the new mechanics. I don't know. That would have been just a cool thing. I'm thinking way outside the box here.
But given all their muddled messaging with the Wii U, maybe it's better that they did.
I'm sure it's better.
Thinking, it's gonna be, Yeah,
I'm just saying it'd be cool. No, absolutely it probably would be a bad idea in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's actually coming out on the Wii U, and there's not a lot of Wii U owners to begin with. It's like, let's just keep it on the Switch. Might be better. I do hope, though, for this Testfire that they add another map. Because there were I think there were 2 maps available. Yeah, there were in the Testfire, so it kept things different, and you could check them both out as you played through. Granted, you only have an hour, so even if it's just one map, it's not that big of a deal. But I would think it'd be really cool to have Muscle Forge Gym to have that as well. And I think that'd be just a great way to show off 2 levels, get people interested, have 2 different ways to see the game, and just go for it.
Yeah, and the more content, the better, absolutely. So
yeah.
I think one thing that I'm kind of excited by is, strangely enough, so I've said before how I was so surprised by the fact, when they announced, when you guys were telling me that because I missed this portion of the presentation, but you need an app for voice chat on your phone. I'm like, what? That is such that's such a Nintendo thing to do. But the more I've been hearing about it and its implementation in Splatoon 2, I'm actually getting really excited for it, and the more I'm hearing about this app, the more sense it seems to be making. With how we now know you can create rooms in Splatoon 2, presumably without even being near your Switch, you can just do it on the app itself, where you can have your set up a time for your friends to gather together, and once there's enough, you can start playing, in that room, and then you can, and then it's also used for voice chat and whatnot. Like, I'm seeing a lot of potential in this app, and the fact that it has a seamless integration with these games is exciting, because I think it opens up a lot more opportunities than what we've seen before, on how online's been handled with consoles up to this point. Granted, there's still plenty of time for Nintendo to totally drop the ball on it, but the little we've heard so far, it does sound exciting.
There's quite a bit of potential here, I think. If only because I really like the idea of being able to make a room, set up a time with all your friends, and get that sort of thing set up. You'll be able to work within your friends, but also have those temporary invites where, hey, we're gonna play with some random people off Twitter. We'll select a few, send it in, we'll randomly select them, pop them on, and all of a sudden we have a team of all GameXplain fans, and they're not permanent friends. We don't have to worry about that. We can just add them on as we want to play. Mm-hmm. There's no muss, no fuss. It's great.
No, I can totally see the potential here with this app. Like, it's a perfect example. I have so many times I've wanted to just pick 3 random people to play, fans to play Smash with, but then I realize, okay, well, I have to put the friend codes or the Nintendo Network IDs in, and then they all have to register me, and it's a pain. Mm-hmm. And I can see something like that being far less problematic with the app. The only issue I still have, and I do agree with you, Andre, actually a lot, in that the more I hear about this app and the more I think about it and the more it kind of gestates in my brain, I'm like, okay, I can actually see where this would be pretty cool and where this could work as an approach to online chat. But you're still dealing with the fact that you're really limited by however much battery you have left in your smartphone at the time. So that's something you don't have to deal with a more traditional approach to console-based voice chat, where it's just powered by the console, and you don't have, or maybe by a separate headset, and you don't have to worry as much about the battery. But, you do have to worry about your smartphone battery, and smartphone batteries kind of suck, as we all know. So,
let's be real here, Ash. Your Switch battery is going to die long before your smartphone battery.
That's a good point. Although if you're playing at home, it won't matter anyway.
Yeah. But there is one problem. There is one problem with playing at home. Then is let's say they had allowed you to use a headset on the Switch itself. The problem with playing at home then is, unless you have a wireless headset, your normal headset probably isn't going to reach your docked Switch. So
right. You'd have to buy a wireless headset.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's good. I do think it's a good solution what they're doing, as long as they deliver with it. I think I like the idea of what they're doing. I just don't know if it should be the only solution. But I do like the idea of it, and if Nintendo nails it, this whole smartphone or this app idea, in terms of handling a lot of voice chat and online lobbies and things, could really work out well for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping they take this idea much farther. A simple idea is the fact, if you can just add friends remotely, which I'm actually pretty confident you'll be able to do via the app. So, if you meet up with a friend of a friend somewhere, who knows where, you can just instantly add each other on the app. Or if you hear about a cool game, you can choose to buy it via the app, and it'll be waiting for you on your Switch back home. Things like that. Just create this persistent way of accessing simple Switch features from anywhere without needing your Switch with you.
Right.
Yeah, it's a potentially really great idea that could keep you connected, and that would sort of be the aim of it. But again, we're sort of relying on Nintendo to fully utilize these ideas, and I'm not fully confident that they can do that, at least right out of the gate. That's the big question.
I mean, that's for sure. I mean, who knows how far they're going to take the idea. But they're already... If this app works any way, or in any way close to how I'm imagining, where you can set up a room and your friends get invites on their own phones after you send out the Splatoon invite. I mean, that already is well beyond what we've seen from Nintendo before.
That's a good point.
Yeah. That is, and of course, I'm thinking ahead to as exciting as all this is for Splatoon 2. I'm thinking ahead, wow, what does this mean for Smash? Probably eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about really how does this change Nintendo's approach to games beyond Splatoon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the online is definitely the big question mark here, and it's a little weird that we're still. I mean, I guess since the app isn't out yet, they have plenty of time to introduce that, but there's still a lot of questions involved with the Switch, and it's crazy that we're 2.5 weeks out now, and we have so many questions yet. They've still yet to mention the Virtual Console.
Do you guys think we're going to get a Direct before it comes out?
We have to at this point, don't we? It'd be insane not to have something to better lay out what the Switch can do.
I mean, it would be insane. That part you're right about, but do we have to have one? I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about, so... I mean, I agree. They need to have a Direct that explains these things, but, we're also dealing with Nintendo, and they might just be like, no, we don't need that. We'll figure it out along the way. So it's really, you just never know what Nintendo's going to do, even if you think you know what makes sense.
I do think we will get one, though. I think we had one with the Wii U, as I recall, and I'm pretty sure we'll get one with the Switch, if only to continue to build that momentum and maintain that momentum up until the launch itself. Because it has been a little while since we've heard anything big or official from Nintendo on the Switch. I think they are going to do one more blowout before it comes out. Of course, presumably there will be a lot of media coverage, before then as well. Hopefully,
yeah.
I am feeling a Direct before it comes out. So
now, do you think it'll be the week before or 2 weeks before? So next week.
So basically, almost now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's so hard to say because we still don't know about basic things like the app and Virtual Console and the frickin' interface. We still don't know anything official about their new system's interface, and we're 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks out from this thing's launch. So you would think there would have to be a Direct, but man, who knows?
Yeah, I know,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I would say the smart thing to do is wait next week, have one, and that way you can blow it all out and have people time to digest it and be ready for it. But I could also totally see Nintendo being the Monday before it comes out, okay, here's all the information you need to know about the Switch.
I can see them doing it the day it comes out.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, and I honestly don't even know. I get the sense that maybe even Nintendo is really scrambling to make this March 3rd date and have everything that they want to have ready. Like, I don't think it's just because they want to keep their clothes, their cards close to their chest that we haven't heard about this stuff. I kind of have a feeling it's because things are still changing and very fluid up to the very last minute for them right now.
Oh, by the way, I am going to go on the record as predicting there will be a day one update for this thing.
I join you in that prediction. 100%. I think there will be a day one patch.
Agreed. And the question is
Yeah.
it going to be as bad as the Wii U one?
Oh my God.
4 gigs or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long was it? It was a big download. It took a long time for people.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I forget how big it was, but
hopefully it's
it can't be,
smoother.
it can't be that big on the Switch. It doesn't have that much internal memory, so
Well, neither did the
That
Wii
is a
U.
good point.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Because I remember I got home from the midnight launch I attended with my Wii U and didn't end up playing it until the next morning because I had to download that patch.
God.
It's a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awful. Yeah, I hope they don't have that, but they're going to have that. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Indeed.
So, well, guys, any other thoughts on Splatoon 2 or the Switch or any other stuff?
Not that I can think of. Just that I'm excited for both. Let's get there already. Let's play the Switch. Let's play Splatoon 2. Like, I'm tired of talking about them all. Like, obviously we've gotten to play a little bit, but we're so close now. I just want to get to the point where we're actually playing this stuff.
I was going to tweet this out. I forgot to, so I'll just say it here. It's crazy to think that just a little over 3 months ago, we had no idea what the Switch was. I mean, or officially at least, we had no idea what the Switch was, and now we're just mere weeks away, and we still don't know what the Switch is. I just meant it's crazy that we've never had a cycle this small before for a major platform, and it's nuts that it's almost here, and we barely knew what it was a few months ago.
Yeah, it's really been a very non-traditional hype cycle for Nintendo's new console, but you know, there have been some missteps along the way, but I'm very much liking every sign of this new Nintendo that I'm seeing. They haven't gotten it all right, but what they have gotten right is night and day from the lead up to the Wii U. So I am excited of this very real evidence we've been seeing of this new, improved, more modernized Nintendo.
Yeah, I think there's going to be issues. I think there's going to be some problems that pile up on launch day. There's going to be not everybody's going to be happy, but I still think this is a stronger start than the Wii U had. I do think they can recover from any missteps they might have in these next few weeks and truly make it a good system.
Yeah.
We'll see. But, all right, I think that covers it for our Splatoon 2 discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Splatoon and other things gaming as well. Till next time, bye.